What I want to move to is my favourite story, I think, in showbiz this year. The Justin Baldoni war with Blake Lively, which seems to me, initially I felt quite sorry for Blake Lively, then I've been reading all the messages between them all, and which he's been putting out, obviously, and it just seems like a pair of absolute weapons-grade narcissists.
My life was influenced most by my mother. Sitting here tonight, Willie Elaine McAlpin.
Yeah, it's for Justin.
Did you notice how Piers Morgan completely shattered the image Blake Lively has spent years building? While the crowd cheered for her touching TIME100 speech, Morgan stood alone, daring to say what others were too afraid to admit. He claimed, "Her emotional words weren't genuine. They were part of a carefully planned act." According to him, Blake didn't share her mother's difficult past to inspire or connect, but to distract from the scandals swirling around her lately. Her emotional delivery, with teary eyes and a trembling voice, might have impressed the audience at the event, but it didn't convince Morgan. He saw through the performance and pointed out how it seemed more like damage control than sincerity. What was meant to win sympathy may have ended up doing more harm than good. Stick around, as we unpack how this attempt at image repair may have turned into a major PR disaster.
It most definitely is an honor, but what does influence mean? By definition, it's the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something. So you just, the behavior just taking people over, right? Is that what it is? To have an effect that not only is an honor, it's a significant responsibility. How we use that is what matters. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that someone talk about someone who overuses it? Who and what we stand for, what we stay silent about, and what we monetize versus what we actually live. This girl tried to throw in what we monetize. You monetized a movie about DV. You promoted an alcohol brand and your hair care line to be about this movie, and you wanted it to be light and floral so you didn't have to get into the deep, it's so depressing topic of DV. And so now, after all this backlash, you're going to tell us how to do it, when to stay silent, when to talk, when to monetize? Oh my God, this woman. I've had so much to say over the last 2 years. Anyway, tonight's not the forum. I cannot wait for the Oprah Winfrey interview, just like Meghan Markle did, which absolutely backfired on her. It was a window to realizing who she actually was when she did that. Oh my God, please, Oprah, get Blake on the phone. I can't wait for that.
What if I told you that Blake Lively's emotional speech at the TIME100 Gala may not have been as real as it looked? On the surface, it seemed like a raw, touching moment. But when you look closer, certain things don't quite add up. As she spoke about her mother's painful past, her voice cracked exactly when the camera zoomed in. Just seconds earlier, she appeared calm, collected, and completely in control. Then suddenly her tone changed, her expression shifted, and she looked visibly moved, as if on cue. That sudden switch has sparked doubt. Was she truly overwhelmed by emotion, or was it a carefully planned act meant to stir sympathy? Experts who study body language noted several signs that suggest her behavior was rehearsed. From the perfectly timed pause to the subtle facial movements, it all resembled techniques actors use to show emotion on screen. Piers Morgan wasn't convinced either. He accused her of using the moment to protect her image during a rough patch in her public life. His criticism wasn't just harsh, it was thorough. He compared the speech to her past appearances and pointed out how she often displays the same emotional expressions, raising real concerns about how genuine this performance really was.
My mom never got justice from her work acquaintance who attempted to take her life when she was the mother of 3 young kids, years before I was born. She always credited her beating heart today with the story she heard from another woman in a similar circumstance speaking on the radio as my mom drove home one day entirely unaware of the future ahead of which she would call upon this critical moment to save her own life. The woman painfully and graphically shared how she escaped, and because of her hearing that woman speak to her experience, instead of shutting down in fear and shame, my mother is alive today. She was saved by a woman whose name she'll never know. I am alive and standing with you all here today. Oh, thank God Blake's alive because of a woman whose name she doesn't know. She'll never know. I'm here. My mom is here because that woman not only survived, but she told others how. It's a silent torch of womanhood that we come to know, a pact that privately we must show others how to survive, literally or spiritually. We don't let our daughters know One day they'll meet Justin. That's what she's implying here. This is horrific. She's just piling it on and piling on. That's how awful it was. Oh my God. Your daughters, one day will break their hearts by letting them know it's a secret that we've kept from them as they pranced around in princess dresses, that they are not and will likely never be safe at work, at home, in a parking lot, in a medical office, online, or any space they inhabit, physically, emotionally, professionally. But why does that torch have to be our burden to carry in private? How can we not all agree on the basic human right? So believe Blake. Believe Blake. She was harassed.
The most shocking part of Blake Lively's Time 100 speech wasn't just what she said, it was what she chose to reveal for the very first time. In a room full of celebrities and influential figures, Blake stood up and shared a deeply personal story about her mother's past. But what stood out even more was the timing. Just before sharing this information, she gave a warning to the audience, letting them know that she would be discussing trauma. This wasn't a random moment. It was carefully planned during one of the most prestigious events in Hollywood, and it happened to come at a time when her public reputation was being questioned. What raises eyebrows is that, throughout her long career, Blake had never mentioned this personal story, not during past controversies or interviews. It suddenly surfaced now, when it could shift the spotlight away from criticism. Even more suspicious, the Time 100 event wasn't broadcast, yet a perfectly captured video of her emotional moment made its way to People magazine. Many believe this wasn't a coincidence, but part of a larger media plan. By revealing something so personal, Blake placed herself in a protected position, someone who has lived through emotional pain and deserves empathy. This made it harder for critics to call her out. But not everyone was convinced. Piers Morgan harshly criticized the move, suggesting she was using personal pain as a distraction from deeper problems, possibly including upcoming lawsuits against her team. On social media, many trauma survivors expressed frustration, saying true vulnerability doesn't usually come with media-ready packaging. Blake's speech now looks less like a moment of honesty and more like a carefully timed attempt to win sympathy. Her emotional warning wasn't just touching, it was likely a strategic move aimed at reshaping the story before it turned against her.
I have so much to say about the last 2 years of my life, but tonight is not the forum.
So does that mean she's going to do an Oprah interview? Oh my God, bring it on.
What I will speak to separately is the feeling of being a woman who has a voice today.
Sorry, I keep interrupting, but I got a commentary, and I'm so sick of her saying, a woman who has a voice today, as if she didn't have a voice previously. Girl, you have one of the loudest voices I've seen in Hollywood. You stole the entire damn movie from Justin. You threatened him. I will not promote this unless I get this. I will not do this unless you get that. I will not sign that until I get this. You have the biggest voice I've seen. I've watched far too many interviews. You're all about authorship and getting your way. So don't you dare keep trying to play like you are a woman that doesn't have a voice.
And since I could speak, because of the pain, caution, and fight of the many women who have paved the way and the men who stood beside them.
Oh, thank you all women for allowing me to take this man's movie and be a mean girl and do whatever I want. Thank you, women. I hope you're proud of me now. Are you proud, women? Let me know in the comments as you're watching.
Millions I will never know the name of, because every life, every act, big or small, affects another. Before I say more, I want to warn that I will speak about tonight covers trauma, so please feel free to step away if you need.
Yeah, just leave the gala. Go into the lobby, I guess. And sorry, because I got to share a story to help my PR.
My life was influenced most by my mother, sitting here tonight, Willie Elaine McAlpin.
Oh, Blake's mother! Oh, I don't know what's worse, when celebrities need affection or if they need to have now their parents get affection.
She's an eternal optimist, and she's always leaving me messages, hooping and hollering and saying, "Woo, life's just a bowl of cherries." It's true, always. And she'll get your number tonight, and she'll leave you those messages, so please be warned.
Oh my God, steer clear. Steer clear, people.
But at her urging and her unwavering bravery, she wanted me to share with you that she is a survivor of the worst crime someone can commit against a woman.
She's using the Time 100 Gala to reveal this? Girl, did you forget? You had a whole movie about this that you refuse to talk about? That literally, someone's like, what do people do if they have this and they want to talk about the subject matter? Oh, they can get my social security number or my location share. I don't know. Like, you did everything in your power to avoid this topic. And you had a mom who went through it. And now you're dropping it out during this whole drama that's backfired on you. And you thought this is the time and place? And how convenient that People Magazine's there with their iPhone to catch and post this evening. Oh my God, this is ridiculous.
While Piers Morgan was tearing apart the polished image Blake Lively presented at the TIME100 Gala, one particular sentence from her speech drew serious attention. She said, "I am a woman who has a voice today." These words may seem simple, but Morgan saw them as misleading and even insulting to the truth. He questioned how someone who has been at the top of the entertainment world for years could suggest she was just now finding her voice. Blake isn't a newcomer. She's been starring in major films, running her own businesses, and reaching tens of millions of fans online for over a decade. Morgan argued that this wasn't an emotional breakthrough. It was a well-planned performance. He pointed out that Blake has been in full control of her public image for years. So why now, at the peak of a PR crisis, would she suddenly claim to be discovering her voice? Even more concerning, he cited reports that some women who worked for her were allegedly silenced when they tried to speak out. That's a sharp contrast to the image she presented of standing up for women and survivors. Adding to the skepticism was the setting. This speech happened at an event honoring her influence, yet she claimed she was just starting to speak out. It didn't add up. Morgan said it felt like emotional manipulation, especially since a perfectly captured video of the speech was somehow leaked to the press, even though the gala wasn't publicly aired. It all looked staged, and Blake wasn't alone in the spotlight. Ryan Reynolds, her husband, played his part perfectly. Morgan pointed out how Ryan's expressions seemed timed for the cameras. His usual funny, self-deprecating posts often surface when Blake faces criticism, subtly shifting the public's attention. Industry experts now believe this isn't coincidence. It's strategy. Morgan's investigation pulled back the curtain, showing how one of Hollywood's most adored couples may actually be one of the most calculating. Their efforts to manage their image may have worked before, but at the TIME100 Gala, they pushed it too far. Instead of praise, they sparked suspicion.
But I'm taking a moment to really process and accept the fact she used this as an opportunity to now try to paint herself as a survivor. To all the survivors who watch, I know we have a lot in our audience. I'd like to hear your comments. Please, if there's a video you comment on, please share your comments. I may actually share some of them in a future video. How do you feel after Miss Blake Lively is now putting herself as the face of survivors and women? Now, I want to go through the real speech. Here's the entire toast. Thank you so much for having me tonight. It's as an honoree amongst you all, as well as those who've come before, is surreal and deeply significant. In a time where the most valuable currency seems to be anger, it feels like an act of defiance to commune and celebrate all the good that is alive in the world. And the many here tonight who either challenge the system and or show us the magic exists on earth in their gifts, talents, bravery, art, and life, or anybody rich enough to have sway to get this award for giving a donation 6 years ago because you got married on a plantation. I added that part. That wasn't in there, but I'll continue. Tonight, I applaud each of you. It's an interesting thing to be called influential. It's for you to be called influential. It's very interesting. It most definitely is an honor, but what does influence mean? By definition, it's the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something. So you just, the behavior just taking people over, right? Is that what it is? To have an effect that not only is an honor, it's a significant responsibility. How we use that is what matters. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that someone talk about someone who overuses it? Who and what we stand for, what we stay silent about, and what we monetize versus what we actually live. This girl tried to throw in what we monetize. You monetized a movie about DV. You promoted an alcohol brand and your hair care line to be about this movie, and you wanted it to be light and floral so you didn't have to get into the deep, it's so depressing topic of DV.
What you're seeing isn't just Piers Morgan calling out a celebrity. It's the collapse of an image that took years to build. His investigation uncovered how Blake Lively's team, including well-known publicist Leslie Sloan, was actively managing her appearance at the event. Everything, from her words to her expressions, seemed planned. But Morgan's deep dive exposed the careful setup, revealing just how much effort went into shaping how the public sees her. The biggest impact isn't the immediate backlash, it's the lasting doubt it creates. Now, whenever Blake gets emotional or speaks from the heart, people might wonder if it's real or just another performance. Morgan pointed out that once the public starts to question what's genuine, it's hard to trust again. That's the real damage. Not a single scandal, but a reputation permanently marked by suspicion. From now on, people will watch her differently, and they won't forget what they saw. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments.